Hey everybody, it's on screen, off screen. We're back with another week full of good stuff. All right, Josh, what do we got first?
So, following up on last week, I watched
Hmm.
my childhood movies that scared the crap out of me. So, the first one I want to talk about is 1996's Twister.
Okay.
The first thing I want to talk about is Cary Ells is in this movie,
Hmm.
and he does such a good job. I did not recognize him at first. I got through
That's
like
pretty cool.
six scenes before I was like, is that him?" I mean, it looks so like him, but that accent is just wrong, and he's got kind of like a skinnier face. But if it was like Wesley from The Princess Bride, for anybody who doesn't know the name,
Hmm.
if you just skinnied him and gave him a southern accent or whatever accent he was doing, that might be him. And I looked it up, and surely, yes, that's him. He plays the villain, the antagonist in the story. And I'm just sitting there in awe because this actor is so underrated.
He is.
Like Wesley from The Princess Bride, one of the biggest movies of all time, has now made. Sorry, let me pull up the movie. Is now doing movies like A Castle for Christmas. How did he get to that point?
I don't know. I know that he's religious. He's Christian, and he's been very outspoken with his Christianity, and that's not necessarily super popular in Hollywood, and that might keep him from getting roles. He's also more conservative, which is also not super popular in Hollywood. But that's my only guess. I don't know.
I mean, maybe, but like usually you do Hallmark, then go to Hollywood. You don't go to Hollywood and
And then
then
do Hallmark.
Hallmark unless you just happen to find the right Hollywood role. But usually going to Hallmark after Hollywood is like a you suck as an actor, you can't really quite make it, you're not really good enough, you kind
You
of
got
need something to
lucky
pay the
once with your
bills,
role.
or you did well then, you're not good anymore. Like there's a lot of like younger actors who do really well and then they mature, but they just don't fit any roles anymore.
Yeah,
Um,
or they fit a role that would just go to a younger actress, and the
yeah,
younger actress is just gonna get it.
yeah. So like I don't know. Like I was never a big fan of Robin Hood Men in Tights,
Me either.
but like I'm not mad at his acting in it at all. Um, I guess he's in Mission Impossible 7 last year.
He's a fairly minor role, but yeah, he,
Yeah,
he has a bunch of. I don't know. He just does a bunch of stuff, but
yeah. Nothing is like great though.
yeah.
Right? But I think The Princess Bride is easily his biggest role.
Ye, I mean, Robin Hood Men in Tights is a pretty big role. He's a big role in Saw, and he does a very good job in that movie.
I
Um,
haven't seen that. But
he does a good job with it. Like he is an underrated actor, but it, you have one of the biggest movies of all time that everybody quotes and everybody loves. It's hard for you to have a bigger movie than that movie, to be
right,
completely honest.
right. I mean, you're right, but like at the same time, you have nothing to even go on,
Compare.
right? Like if you talk about other actors who have had as big of roles, Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, right? There's
Mhm.
usually a few roles that you can be like, oh no, this was their biggest role. Oh no, this is where there's their biggest role. Oh no, this one was. And while Men in Tights is a big role and was very popular, it's definitely phased out of its popularity and it's definitely not as quoted.
No, it's not.
So I would say Princess Bride is still easily the bigger role for him.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Um, but I didn't really mean like size of role, but he's just not the lead as often as I think he probably should have landed.
I
Um,
agree.
so yeah, just an underutilized actor. But back to Twister, 1996. This is an extremely effective movie, even though it's very imperfect. Um,
Tell me what you mean.
well, just like Carrie Ells is chasing the tornado just like the rest of this group is, right?
Mhm.
And we're following along this main group, and he stole the idea, and they finally meet up, and they're going after their first tornado, and they see the main guy, Bill Paxton, turn, right?
Mhm.
And he knows, as the villain, somebody who is used to know this person, that that guy's intuition is almost always right. We're going to follow him.
Mhm.
Then, halfway through the movie, he decides not to for no reason, right? He's just like, the driver's like, he just turned. Do we follow? He's like, nah.
No, you're right.
You already established that you trust his intuition more than your computer's.
So why wouldn't you follow him?
Why wouldn't you follow him now? I don't understand what the difference in these scenarios are. Right? And then you get further into the movie and you have the main guy saying, "Dude, turn it around, you're going to die." And he's just like, "No, we're not going to do it.
We're gonna keep going
We're
this
going to
way.
keep going." And like, aside from the logical flaw that is he wouldn't see a mile wide tornado coming straight at him because that's what's happening, is it sold as a mile wide tornado, that you would not see that your own damn self. Aside from that little error in logic, he doesn't even question it. He's already established he trusts this guy's intuition. But
Mhm.
this guy is literally reaching out, doing something he's never done before, and trying to save your life. And you're just like, nah. So, I mean, it's not the greatest villain arc of all time for sure. Um, one of the funniest things for me personally as a car guy is nobody chose a Ford, which is great. Um, Literally, it's like the Dodge group is the rugged old trucks that are reliable, right? Like that first one that gets
Mhm.
wrecked when they crawl under a bridge is a Dodge Dakota. Um, and then the like new and luxurious vehicles, the like go get them ones, those are all Chevys. And I know that that is entirely because Dodge and Chevy paid to have their vehicles in this show. And I know that
Absolutely.
it was not like a logical, like, well, what would tornado chasers really use? Or what would they really. I understand that. But the fact that it wasn't Ford just makes me so happy. Because if there was a scene in this movie where, like, the Chevy got stuck and this Ford came in to save the day, I'd be like, bull crap, I don't believe it. It's staged. This takes me out of the movie. It's dumb. Um, so just a little like thing there. Um, all that to say, like, there are plot issues with this. There
Mhm.
are writing issues with this. There are some pretty cheesy lines. There are some
There are
pretty
for
cheesy
sure.
scenes. But this movie is extremely effective in its like the way it builds and makes you feel tension that you
Mhm.
don't even notice it, right? Like, I don't know when the last time you watched it.
It's been a couple years,
It's been a
but
couple
yeah.
years, but when I brought that up, you seemed surprised. Like, oh, what issues did this movie have?
Yep.
You know, because it when you think about it, you're like, man, I remember feeling that tension, even though this is a natural thing that's like slow moving, um, pretty predictable. All this kinds of stuff. you you still have this like feeling of tension in the movie, even in the calm scenes, because you know when's it
The
gonna
next
hit,
thing's
when's
coming.
the next one gonna come, how much warning are they gonna get, XYZ, are they gonna beat the other guys to the location?
And you're invested in what they're trying to accomplish. Like you like the idea of the of the goal.
Yeah, yeah, the buying more time thing is an
Mhm.
excellent, like everybody's on board, like yeah, who wouldn't want to be able to give more warning to a natural disaster?
Nobody.
Nobody. So like that's an easy buy-in for it. And Carrie L's villain just gives enough of a performance to make you go, I
Screw
approve
that
of what
guy.
he's doing, but screw that guy, you know? And you get to know the characters' backstories, and you're like, this is so good. Uh, the one that I really like hate is the love triangle. It is not thought out well at all. It
No.
is the most
No.
basic thing, and it doesn't work. And the only reason that she's there is to have the funny scene when they're chasing a tornado and she's doing therapy over the phone. That is the only reason they brought in the third person
Yep.
that I could
Otherwise, it's
possibly think of.
completely waste of time.
Yeah, she's just a complete waste of screen time, honestly. Um, but yeah, it's very effective. It's very enjoyable. I didn't like love this movie, but I watched it and I was like, okay, I understand why that terrified me when I was too young to be watching it.
Okay.
I can really appreciate the way that they built tension. I don't think I'm going to be going back to this movie anytime soon. It's not like oh, that was so good. I'm going to watch it every few years. Um, I'm at it. It's in the bin for me that it's like if somebody wanted to watch it,
Okay.
I would watch it. Sure, why not? But
For
I'm
me,
not going
it's
to be
the
pulling it out.
I do watch it every couple years. It's not a yearly movie for me, but every couple years I do watch it.
I don't
Um,
think I will ever pull it out.
really,
Like
it's
it's
just
not
not
even going to
there.
be like in every 5 years. It's not going to be in every 10 years.
It's a I've seen it. I'm good.
I've seen it. I'm good. I'm glad I watched it.
Okay.
You know, like IMDb has it as a 6.5 out of 10.
Is that
Rotten
low?
Tomatoes has a 67%. Screen Rant has a 7
Whew.
out of 10. I'm not mad at that. I would give it a 6 out of 10.
Okay. I would give it a 7. It's a 7 movie to me.
Oh.
Like
And I'm
I
not mad at that.
yeah,
Like I can see that.
I
Like
like it.
I can see why people like it because it does do that tension really well. I just had enough plot errors and issues that it's like it's not going to be high on my list to go back to. Um,
Fair enough.
so
Fair enough. Part of my like is probably that I really, really love Helen Hunt. And I don't even know why, because some of the
she's
movies that
great.
she's in are really not good, but I just enjoy her. Like,
I don't
I think I would
think
enjoy her as a person. She just as a
everything
just
she's
seems
in is
enjoyable.
good. Castaway's good. What Women Want is good. As Good as It Gets good. I like her.
Soul
I think
Surfer
she's
is
a good actor.
good. She's really good in that. Maybe yeah. She's
I mean,
just
she's
yeah.
in a ton of stuff I've never even heard of, to be fair. So she's done some pretty crappy stuff, I'm sure.
But the stuff I have seen is actually
Stuff
pretty
I have
good. All
seen
solid.
is good. And like What Women Want is like genuinely a really good one.
It is a really good one.
So
It's I think it's underrated.
yeah,
Huh.
she's good.
Yeah,
I like
cool.
her. Yeah,
She's an enjoyable person.
she's
Cool.
great on screen.
Cheers.
Yeah. The cast for this is honestly like the fact that Philip Seymour Hoffman is in it.
It's a
Um,
big deal.
it's crazy, and like I just saw an interview with an actor who works with him, who said that working with him his was their favorite coworker in any movie
Hmm.
because of the approach that they take for the role. And apparently his character was rude to their character, and he would like make it a point to go and apologize after being rude to the other actor
That's
because
cool.
they didn't want it. So he just seems like a good guy. He's one I recognized from Mission Impossible. Um, he's good.
Yeah, he's a good actor. I like Alan Ruck. He's good.
Alan Ruck, another one I
Yeah,
recognized.
Bill Paxton's good.
Bill Paxton. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just a good cast.
they got a good cast. Sean Whalen.
Which one was Sean?
He's like the nerdy guy and everything.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He saw it too.
And he does a really good job with that. I mean, yeah, he's definitely a typecast kind of actor, but he does a
Absolutely.
great job with it. So
Cool.
that's my review
Well,
of 1996 Twister because it was good. It was enjoyable.
sweet.
What do you got for us?
Okay, first thing. At the end of the year, Kathleen Kennedy is out. She's gone. Hallelujah.
Unconfirmed. For anybody who's
Uh,
listening, this is unconfirmed. I
it is
looked it up because I saw it. It is
highly,
unconfirmed.
highly suspected by many, many reporting studios. Many. It is good, good,
How
good.
many times has it been highly suspected before?
That's fair, but come on, just give it to me. I think she's out. End of the year. Out.
Okay. So,
Okay.
really quick, I
Yeah.
saw this was on your thing. I had not heard of it, so I
Mhm.
went ahead and I looked it up. That is the thing. It has not been confirmed. However, there are some reporting websites and news things that don't generally report on things unless they have an inside source who
Yes.
are reporting on it. So
Yes.
it is likely, I will give it to that, but I do want to stress that if by chance this doesn't happen again, that this is an unconfirmed thing at time of
It is
recording.
unconfirmed. It is reported by Variety and different companies that don't typically report without some kind of source.
Yeah,
But I believe it. She's out.
I don't believe it. What
I
does
believe
this
it.
mean for you? She's
She's
out.
out.
What does it mean for you?
It means that in 2 years ish, when she's not involved in a project anymore, like whatever's going on is completely away from her, I will give Star Wars a shot. Do I think it? Do I know? I don't know if it'll be good. It probably won't, but I will give it a shot.
So you're saying not only do you have to wait for her to leave, you have to wait for the new Star Wars trilogy to finish. You have to wait for the new Star Wars shows to finish. You have to wait for the other Star Wars movies that are coming out to finish, and then you'll give it a shot.
I will wait for anything that she directly was like the person doing the producing on. If she like started initial talks and then had nothing to do with it past that point, I would give it a shot. But if she is like an actual part of the producing of the program, not yet.
Okay, so
But that's like 2 or 3 years.
rumor is that she is gonna be out by summer or end of year,
I hear end
and
of
that
year.
she's retiring.
Mhm.
I saw both, and
Okay.
since this isn't confirmed, I'm not gonna go either way. You'll see news reports for both,
Mhm.
with a highly suspected announcement uh, just before or at the end of April. So
Mhm.
beginning of May or beginning of or end of April. Um, Suspected that she will announce her retirement, and 2 to 6 months after that she would leave there. She is already greenlight this new Star Wars trilogy that's supposed to start filming this year.
Mhm.
So does that mean you're not going to watch the first one? And you would give the
Um,
second one a shot? Does that mean whoever comes in, you're going to trust them to get in and cut all the Kathleen out of the new trilogy, and you would watch the first one when it comes out in 2 years?
I would. I would give the first one a shot just because it's a trilogy. If it was like a single standalone movie, I probably wouldn't care, honestly.
Okay.
But she also was part of Rogue One, and Rogue One is very good. So maybe I'm hypocritical. I don't know. Does this give you any
Blind
hope? Like
squirrel can find a nut.
if she actually leaves at the end of the year, does this give you any sort of hope for Star Wars? Even like a 1% bump?
No.
None. Okay.
No, plain and simple. Because who's going to replace her?
I would guess Feige.
Filoni.
Do you think it's going to be Filoni, not Feige?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Feige has had his franchise moment with Marvel. I don't think he's looking for another franchise thing. And with how hard DC went at him to try and get him, why would he do Star Wars?
Okay.
And you already have Filoni, and he's already the Star Wars guy, and everybody in Star Wars always loves him. And those are the people you're trying to appease so you can resurrect this IP with what you've done to it, or what you let Kathleen do to it, however you want to
Just
look at
seems like a slam dunk. Duh, this is what you should do thing.
Here's the problem.
Yeah.
Book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian, Ahsoka, whatever the other one, Andor. I no longer have faith in him. Like, people talk about Andor as being one of the best Star Wars shows ever.
I like Andor. Legitimately, I enjoy Andor.
I don't particularly love Andor, but I'm not mad at people for liking Andor, but best Star Wars? Is it
Live
really that
action
good,
TV
or were you
show.
just so starved of good Star Wars content?
I think Andor is a good show. I think it's a good show.
I
Is it
don't love it, but
is it Clone Wars Rebels good? No. Is it a good show? Yes.
it's okay. But
Okay.
so is Mandalorian.
I think Andor is a better show than Mandalorian.
I
Like
think the
if I
second
was
half
ranking that, yeah.
of season 1 of Mandalorian is genuinely great.
Okay.
Right? All of building up to where Luke arrives and then Luke arriving is just great.
Luke arriving is
That is
fantastic.
great Star Wars. The second half of
It's
season 1 is great Star Wars.
Luke shows up in the second half of season 2.
Okay. Whatever season that is, you've got a half season that is genuinely great.
It's very good.
I didn't care about anything that happened before it. I don't get the Baby Yoda love. Most of the stuff before that happened in the show genuinely made me angry because of my love for Rebels and Clone Wars. But yeah, so this news does not excite me anymore. If this was 3 years ago, or whenever it was before Ahsoka came out, if you'd asked me the day before Ahsoka came out if I was excited about this, I would be ecstatic about this.
But Ahsoka is one of the worst things that's ever been made ever.
Yeah, and to my second favorite Star Wars character of all time. So
That's
not
terrible.
only is it
That's terrible.
terrible, but it's like, I like Ahsoka more than the original trilogy characters. And I hate Last Jedi for ruining the Last Jedi or the original trilogy characters. So you just did it again to me, but more personal is what you did with Ahsoka. And who was in
Do you
charge
feel
of that?
like Ahsoka ruins Ahsoka? Because my
Yeah,
problem is not necessarily what they do with Ahsoka; it's what they do with every other Rebel character. Because every other Rebel character is atrocious.
it's what they do with Ahsoka too.
Okay, okay. I don't,
Like
I don't love what they do with Ahsoka, but it doesn't like fill me with rage like what they did with Sabine.
what I agree, what they did with all the other characters was worse, but you still have stupid things in it that fill me with rage with my second favorite character.
Okay,
Right? Like if I was looking at it objectively, yes, they did the least bad things to her. They did
but it's
more
still
damage to
bad.
the Star Wars universe than they did to her as a character.
Yes.
But I no longer care about the Star Wars universe because of The Last Jedi.
So you just left with the
What I
character
care
you care
about
about.
is Ahsoka, and they still did her dirty in a way that it's just not great. And was
They
Kathleen
did.
Kennedy involved in that project? No, she was not. Was even not Filoni the other one? Plays Happy in Marvel.
Um, Favreau.
Favreau, was he involved in Ahsoka? No,
I think so. He wasn't. I thought he was.
no. It was a
Oh, okay.
Filoni exclusive kind of a thing.
Okay. I thought Favreau was involved in the whole live action Star Wars side of things.
No, this was. I mean, he might have played a small role, but Ahsoka was like Filoni's thing.
This is his baby.
Yeah, and I think it was Kenobi that was like
Favreau's thing.
Favreau's thing.
Okay.
I think they both played a role in each of those things, but there was one. Each one had kind of like their thing. Both of those terrible,
Yeah,
objectively, just bad.
that's true.
And
I
both
can't
are getting a
defend
season
either of
two,
those.
and I can't understand that, especially
Kenobi's
Obi Wan.
getting a season 2?
Yep, just started filming. That's how far along it is.
That's so stupid. Why would
Yep,
you do a season 2 of that show?
I don't know.
That's a
There are
terrible
people who
idea.
like the show for some reason. Um,
What's a terrible idea? Like
yeah,
even there's a story in Kenobi that could have been good, maybe.
nope,
But
there's not. Doesn't matter what they did. I would have hated it.
they it ended up being really bad. But even if they did the good story, it's a one season story. Maybe you should not go past that at all. Don't. Nope. Nope.
They're doing what they're gonna do. But anyway, so does Kathleen Kennedy leaving, main point of what we're talking about, give me
Mhm.
any hope at all? No, it does not. Is there anything that they could do to make me have hope in Star Wars again? There are exactly two things that they could do. They
Okay.
could give me her job. I'll take it. I will. I will do it, and I will be the face of it. If people don't like what I would do, they've got no. I will. I'll take the blame, and I will do it for less than whatever anybody else is doing it for, because I will do it for what I'm making now. Since that isn't going to happen, they could do what I would do on day one. If that happens, then I will have hope for Star Wars again. A little
Just
bit.
getting rid of the sequel trilogy, basically.
Yeah. And that's what I would do. I would say day one. Sequel trilogy is no longer canon. It is Star Wars What If. Day two, I've got Keanu Reeves signed on. We're doing a live action Revan show.
With Keanu?
Yep.
Huh. That's interesting. Why Keanu?
I think he perfectly embodies that essence you want that character to give.
Interesting. I have never considered that ever.
He's like the fan cast for it.
So Kathleen Kennedy makes 25 million per year. They would save
Hey
a little
Disney,
bit of money paying you.
I would do her job for 60,000 a year.
Oh, that's
Just
funny.
putting that out there. And you can take the rest of that, basically 25 million a year, and make a good product. A good Star Wars
Yeah,
product. Yeah.
yeah,
Could do it. It's a win-win, if you ask me. That's like a whole nother Disney movie. Disney,
that is.
hire me and we can make an entire movie a year.
Actually,
Every year.
their movies are pretty expensive. That's like a TV episode, maybe
Yeah,
two.
but if I was running it, I would not be operating on that
Me either. That's
level.
crazy.
Mostly because I think it ruins it.
I do too.
Right? Like everybody's talking about how like the uniforms and stuff are too clean in shows now. If you just didn't finance that, that wouldn't be an option. They would be beat up because they are beat up.
Yep.
Problem solved.
I want you to get the original costumes from the 70s. That's what I want. Get them.
I don't think I would go that far, but I would definitely do a lot more uh in-person filming, like on actual sites. I would not do all their super crazy expensive special effects anymore. I would basically take filming back to 2012. I mean,
That's
there's
cool.
entire YouTube channels, YouTube videos that I watch that are like, why do things look better 10 years ago than it does now, even though we have all this technology?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about you watching The Gorge, but I genuinely think Pirates of the Caribbean looks close to that movie, and Pirates of the
I
Caribbean
think it
is
looks
freaking
better,
old.
honestly.
You think it looks better? Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are certain scenes that I think The Gorge did well, but Pirates of the Caribbean always looks great.
It
Every
looks
time he's on
very,
screen,
very
it's
good.
great.
Very,
Um,
very good. Yeah.
so yeah, all of this like special effects stuff, like yeah, it's nice to have, but unless you're gonna like do the Dune or Avatar with it, you're wasting your time. It's not gonna look as good.
No.
So I would just basically take the cost of it way down. Uh, I said I would cast Keanu Reeves, honestly, only if he was willing to do it for a reasonable thing. Um, I would be much more interested in blind auditioning and finding the best person for the role, regardless of whatever.
I
Um,
would too.
I mean, that's kind of how George Lucas originally did it. Was he wanted two unknown faces and one known face to sell some tickets, and that was it. So, and that's what he got with Mark Hamill and Leia, and then his known face was Harrison Ford, and like that's good. I don't think names sell anymore.
I
I
don't
think
either.
everybody's kind of sick of the celebrity-ness unless your name is Tom Cruise. So
Tom
I was
Cruise and I think Keanu might sell a little bit, but
Keanu.
he's the
I
only
mean,
other
like
one.
names
Uh,
will
There's
still
there's
sell
there's a
some
few, but not
tickets,
nearly as much.
but I
Not
don't
nearly
think
as
you can
much.
put your branding behind an actor anymore.
Besides
Uh,
Tom Cruise.
Besides Tom Cruise, and so I would be much more interested in just like, hey, if somebody who's known wants to do it and wants to do it for what I'm willing to pay to do it, then great. But they're
Cool.
gonna audition just like everybody else is, and it's gonna be completely blind. Um, I'm not gonna have any kind of prejudice or bias. Whoever's best for the role is gonna get the roles, and I'm gonna make stories worth telling. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna make products just to make them either. So, but to be fair, one of the biggest selling points I have for wanting this role is day one, announce the sequel trilogy sucks and it doesn't count anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Day two, announce Revan live action
Mm-hmm.
show, not movie, show.
Okay.
Because I want 3 seasons of that.
That'd be cool.
Because I want
Very
the
cool.
Revan plot up to KOTOR,
Mm-hmm.
and then I want the Revan plot from the Revan book, which would be a prequel.
Okay.
And then I want the KOTOR online Revan plot, where,
Okay.
to be fair, he wouldn't be the main actor or character in that story, but would play a pretty good role on it. So
Well, that'd be cool.
that's what I would do. Season 1, Season 2 is a prequel, Season 3 is just a great show. And anyway, so that would be it. And day 3, I would go to the game developer that is making KOTOR the live remake, and I would demand to know the status and to see what the status is. I'm like, show me. I want to play it. I want to
Right
see
now.
where it is right now. I know I got this job 2 days ago. I don't care. Show me.
Awesome.
That's what I do.
Hopefully they, I don't know. It probably won't make a difference, but I am hoping. I am hoping. But I know that it's a long shot because there's more problems than just Kathleen. She's just the head figure, and head figures always get blamed for everything, even though
To be
it's not
fair,
all her.
I do think it's mostly her.
You do think it's really? I think it's
Yeah.
like 80-90% her.
I think it's like
80%. I think it's
95% her.
80%. I think it's 80%.
Because it's either originally because of her, like when she sat down with Dave Filoni and told him he needs to have more prominent female characters.
Yep, forces female, all that stuff, right?
Garbage. What are you talking about? Star Wars is full of prominent female characters.
Great
What are
female
you
characters.
talking about? But you
Some of the
also have
best.
all of her personnel that she hired and brought in.
That's true.
Right. So
And
is
that
her
just infects
actual
the entire thing.
responsibility is down to 80? Yeah, probably. But
But
that's
she's the
only
one who brought her
because
in it anyway.
she brought them in to drop her responsibility down to them. And even when she goes, they're still going to be there.
Infecting the whole
So,
entire place.
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right. My next topic, my other one, I wanted to knock these both out because they're more news, and we don't do news a lot. This is one I wanted to bring up just because it's one, I think it's interesting, and two, I kind of think it's a problem. Amazon, I like my Kindle a lot. Frankly, I just really enjoy it. But you've always been able to download your Kindle books onto your computer, onto different e-readers, wherever you want to do. And Amazon is getting rid of that on the 26th. I believe it's tomorrow. And that brings to the just an interesting question of licensing versus actual ownership. And I was curious what your thoughts were on this because more and more of these companies are moving to a licensing model where they can just change and delete your data and delete your movies and delete your books and do whatever they want to, and they can change them completely, and you don't really have a lot of ownership. Do you have any thoughts on this topic?
It's just a reality of the world we live in.
Okay. So it's making me interested in moving to a different e-reader because I like the idea of ownership. Does it shift your perspective at all, or is it just it is what it is, whatever?
Do you subscribe to any streaming services?
I do.
Do you use Amazon Prime?
I do, but it's someone else's that I'm just logged into.
Okay. Do you use Steam?
I do, which is part of where I was going with this.
How is this any different? Like it's just a reality of where it is. I mean, if I was omniscient and I could pick and choose the way I want things to operate, I don't have a problem with the way Steam does stuff. The only thing I would change is that if for whatever reason Steam was not going to allow me to download my game anymore, or if somehow a rival company rises from the ashes and takes down Steam, never going to happen.
Never
If somehow that happens, right? If Steam somehow shuts down, I think they should be required to ship out physical copies of the games to everybody. And I think that should be the same for Amazon, right? If Amazon shuts down, they say, hey, I know you bought these movies. We can't support this anymore. It's too ineffective, but here's a hard drive of all your movies, I would be okay with that. And I think the biggest problem with it, personally with me, is that they use the word buy.
Instead of using the word
lease or rent or whatever. When I bought that game on Steam, I clicked purchase. Buy. Add to cart, buy now. When I bought my movies through Amazon, I clicked buy. I didn't click rent, I didn't click lease, whatever. And like the truth of it is, to give everybody physical copies would not be an expensive thing for either of these companies to do.
No, it wouldn't.
I mean,
but it's not even completely that, because with the Kindle situation, you used to be able to download your books. Like they're getting rid of the ability to do that.
You used to be able to download your game launchers.
I guess you have to do that through Steam now, don't you?
Yeah. Like that's the big selling point for GOG, is that GOG lets you have your game launchers
DRM free and it's
physically downloaded. Which means even if GOG stops supporting the game, you still have the game launcher, which means you can still play your game, right? That's the selling point. If Steam stops supporting your game, you just can't play it anymore. You're just done. Nothing you can do about it. So, like, it's the same situation as all of these other companies. Is it the way that I would like it? No. Is it a reality of where we're at in the world? Yes. Is it going to actually affect many people? No.
Is it a big enough deal that you think there should be some kind of legal action towards it at all?
If, like I said, there's been a number of lawsuits about this issue, and every single time it's gone to Steam, it's been in Amazon's favor, because in the terms and conditions, this has all been laid out, right?
Because it's an agreement that you take.
Yeah. If I were me, the only thing I would say is if you're not going to support something, or you're going to shut down your company, you have to provide those products to everybody who clicked the word buy or purchase.
Would you do the same with games that require online connectivity to be able to play? You wouldn't do that, okay?
No, because you're already knowingly counting on them providing servers, right? Do I think that they should be able to shut down the game entirely like they did with Destiny 1? No. I think that's irritating, because you have fans of the game who would keep the game living on through their own hosted servers.
Absolutely.
Right, so there's a balancing act there, but like, I bought Destiny 1. I did not buy a server to host Destiny 1 on, if that makes any sense. So Destiny 1 is mine. And do I think game developers should provide an offline option? Because no game is going to last forever in the online space? Absolutely, I do. Especially as somebody like me who plays single player most of the time anyway.
Yeah.
But if I buy something from Amazon or Steam or wherever, and they just say, sorry guys, I can't run my servers anymore, you're just out of luck, I would say, give me my product that I bought, because I clicked buy. I clicked the button purchase.
At least allow me to download a way to run it from my computer.
Yeah. And storage is so cheap now.
It's so cheap.
That they could very easily buy flash drives. Like if Amazon was just like, we're shutting down, they could easily buy flash drives for everybody, download all of my movies onto that flash drive and ship it to me, and it would cost them nothing.
It would be very cheap for Amazon.
Do I need them individualized and DVDs and all of that production? No, I want my product.
You just want the product. Okay.
If you wanted to give it to me in a digital version, just like a physical digital version, like a flash drive, that's fine. I have nothing against that. That's totally fine by me. And they would also sell copies by giving away the versions, the physical copies that they already have in their warehouses. Right? So they wouldn't have to give me a digital version of Deadpool and Wolverine because I guarantee they have a DVD version of it in their warehouse. They could send me like whatever. It's just I clicked the button buy. It is
So
reasonable to assume that buy means to own.
yeah,
And if you want to stop supporting that, I'm fine with that. I understand that there's a cost to that. It is not on me to say you have to continue giving me that cost for nothing. But I clicked buy, so if you're going to stop supporting it, you have to
your due
give me
diligence.
my product. And that's what I would personally want to sue over.
So that brings me to another topic with Amazon because I agree with you. Those are good points. Um, it's about sells right. So Apple, when you sell something on Apple, whatever it is, they keep 20%. That's pretty standard. That's what they do. With Amazon, we last week we talked about the Dungeon Crawler book, which is the top audiobook in the world. You let me know that. Very, very cool. They keep 75% of every audiobook sell all
Yeah.
across their entire program.
Well, because they monopolize digital books. Audiobooks and digital books is completely owned by Amazon. There isn't an alternative.
There are some alternatives, but basically they own everything. Does that make you not want to go with Amazon at all? Does that decentivize you? Because you can buy any book straight from the owner. Like you can go to Sound Booth Theater and buy Dungeon Crawler. I've done that before because I feel like they
but you're
should get
giving your
paid for what they're
portion to
doing.
Jeff Hayes instead of the author.
Yeah,
Everybody
but
who's selling it is taking their cut.
that's true. That's true. But I
Right?
feel more
100%
comfortable
is not
giving
to
it to
do it.
Jeff Hayes than Amazon because Jeff Hayes at least added value to the book. Right?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, the question is where's the line? Not is it
Okay.
okay to do it, right? Uh,
Mhm.
Amazon, when it comes to movies, they're like 20%. That's pretty normal. Steam with licensing games, they take 30%.
Mhm.
Apple does about 30%. And with books, it's like you said, it's about 70%.
Yeah,
Um,
it's crazy.
and that is also a variant to my understanding for people like uh, Matt Dinneman. It's about 70%. Those who go through an actual publisher, like Penguin Random House, theirs is closer to 30%. But then
From my
you're also
understanding,
paying
that's the case
Penguin Random
for
House.
ebooks, but I believe besides very, very, very few people like Brandon Sanderson made an agreement specifically with Amazon and got a higher percentage. And some prominent authors, very, very prominent authors, will get a higher percentage, but otherwise you keep 25% of what you're selling.
Yeah, but that's because the other people that I'm talking about are splitting that other difference with Penguin Random House. Right? Kind of like with Dungeon Crawler Carl, the audiobook version through Amazon.
Mhm.
They're selling it and Amazon's taking 70%. But it's not like Jeff Hayes and Sound Booth Theater aren't taking their cut from that too. Like I would wager Matt Dinneman is probably making 15% of each purchase of Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Probably.
Because Jeff Hayes isn't doing it for free, just like
No.
Penguin Random House isn't doing it for free.
No.
I just don't think Jeff Hayes is a big enough name to negotiate the discount that Penguin Random House can because they're one of the big five publishers. So the question is, where's the line? And I think that heavily depends on the cost, right?
Okay.
With audiobooks, particularly, there isn't a big cost to Amazon. So them taking 75% is kind of gross,
It's crazy.
right? There's no limit to the quantity. There's not a publisher doing it. Like everything's taken care of by Matt Dinneman, to my understanding. He has no
Yep.
publisher. He's paying editors out of his own pocket,
which is
and
most of
he's
the time with
licensing.
most people who publish books.
Yeah, he's licensing himself with Jeff Hayes' company, Soundbook Theater, to do the audiobook. Um, he's an independent author. He's not going through one of the big five. So, where's the cost of Dungeon Crawler Carl? Well, the cost is on Matt Dinniman. Who's taking
Yep.
the benefit? Amazon. And what is Amazon doing for it? They're putting
it on a platform.
bits on their server. That's what they're doing. And they don't have to have multiple versions because it's one version that everybody downloads from. That's how a server works. If I buy a version and you buy a version, it's not like there's two versions on that server. It's just when I want to listen to it, I'm going to download it from that, and when you want to listen to it, you're going to download it. And so the cost, what it costs Amazon to have Dungeon Crawler Carl on Audible is 27 cents one time. How much are they making on Dungeon Crawler Carl? Well, you're either getting $15 a month, or everybody else is paying $15 just for that one title. And he has 7 titles. So you're making buco bucks on your $1 investment.
Yeah.
Right? So it's kind of gross that this is kind of where we're at. I think standard should probably be between 20 and 30%. I think that's fair because there is a cost to running those servers, operating those servers, employing people to run those servers. I get that. I'm a tech guy. They should make some money from it. They should, they're providing a service.
And they built the infrastructure. They have the marketplace.
They often don't have an upfront cost. It's not like Matt Dinniman had to pay Amazon initially to host his book.
Yeah.
Right? Amazon just said, if you had this big of a following, we'll host your book for free. So they're not making money from the author, which is the other way they could do it, right? If they just said flat fee, everybody pays $500 a book.
Yeah.
I guarantee every single author would sign up for that. Every single one of them.
Every single one of them would, for sure.
But that's not what they're doing, So who's the cost coming from? It's us. What's the line, right? I feel like 20 to 30% is a pretty comfortable margin for something that's an inexpensive thing to do, right? The fact that they want their app to look pretty is not something that is on the author. That's not something.
And if iTunes could do it for so long at 20%, everybody else can do it too. It would be okay.
Well, sort of. When you're talking about Apple, it's a little bit different of a story. But
Apple's made gobs and gobs and gobs of money off of iTunes. Like gobs.
Yes, because of the way that their ecosystem is set up.
Tell me what you mean. What do you mean?
If you buy an iPhone, you're locked into their ecosystem.
Yes, that's true.
Which means you pay for the product directly from them, right? In this case, iTunes. Or you're paying Amazon, who's paying Apple. Right? So if you have Audible and you're on an iPhone, I don't know if it's still this way. There was a lawsuit about it. I never heard how it came out. But you pay $15 for your book.
Yeah.
Amazon is going to take 70%, and Apple is going to take 30% still.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So the big issue with that was like Netflix and subscription services, because they couldn't charge you more for being on an iPhone. But if you had that product through an iPhone and you bought the subscription through your iPhone, you had to pay your portion through to Apple every month.
Which so are they increasing the? So let's say Netflix $15 a month. Are you paying 30% on top of that 15, or does Netflix just have to bite 30% of that total $15?
Netflix just has been biting that cost.
Okay.
Sort of. What they did, because it would be discrimination to say if you're on an iPhone, you have to pay more for your subscription. So, and there was ways around it, right? If you got your user to sign up for Netflix on your computer, you didn't have to pay it. It was only if the iPhone user was signing
Signed
up
up
for
on
on the iPhone.
the iPhone.
Yeah. So that's why there was a ton of like sign in and sign up on the computer things in all of the iPhone apps, but you could directly get it through your Android apps, like 8 years ago. So
So Android
whatever
didn't
the
do the same
limitation is,
thing.
Android did not do the same thing. It was
Okay.
only if they were processing the money. So that's the sick thing that Apple was doing was like if you used the Google Play Store to process the finances, they would take their cut.
So if you signed up through net and on for Netflix, and then
If you signed up through Netflix,
but
on an Android,
you would have done it on the app. You would have processed through the app, through the Netflix app.
usually, but they also let you use the Apple or the Google Play Store.
Okay.
Right? The Google Play Store holds your credit card information. It's really convenient. So you can
Makes
very
it
easily
easy.
be like, sign up, right? So when I signed up for F1 TV to watch 2024's season of Formula One, I used the Google Play Store because it was very convenient than having to input my information manually, all that kind of stuff. The difference was they were taking their cut one time and then transferring the recurring cost to the company.
Okay.
Right. So they were saying, here's my cut for doing it this one time. Here's their information. You've got to take care of it going forward.
And then it wouldn't be a recurring thing where Apple
Yeah.
would be every single month.
Where Apple was like, hey, they purchased this through the App Store. I'm taking my portion of that subscription every month. Right. So Netflix couldn't say, hey, you have to pay more for this because that's discrimination. So they just said, we're raising the cost for everybody. That's what Netflix did. And that's understandable that that's what they did because they didn't want to just eat that cost, even though they very easily could. But is a different issue. But
But that's an extra $450 a month that they're just not getting from everybody
yeah,
that signs up through Apple. That's a lot of
yeah,
money. It's a lot of money.
yeah. So Apple is very like locked into their ecosystem. They process all the payments. They take their portion on everything. Pros to that: security, data, information is only in one place, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Cons to that is everything's more expensive because they are forcing that to be the case.
No
Right?
matter what the situation is.
Yeah. So, I mean, pick your poison is really what I'm trying to say with that. Is like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. So you're either going to do it this way or you're going to do it that way. And those are your options.
But everything's a trade off, and it's
But
just
everything's a trade off.
kind of a shitty trade off for everybody.
Yeah. So what's the line? 30%. Why can Audible charge 70% for independent authors? Well, because it's a higher risk, right? So for every Dungeon Crawler Carl, you're hosting 10,000 books that are never
Crappy.
selling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. And there's no alternatives. None. Because if you want to go the Libby route, you're limited.
I mean, there's like Kubo, and you can buy through theirs. There are some alternatives, but they're very, very, very small marketplace. Because I think of ebooks, Amazon owns something like 86, 87%. So there's a alternative, but it's very small.
Yeah, I know that they don't own 100% of the market share, but it's really high. It's like 80%, 90%, 75%, whatever it is.
It's very
It's
high.
still way over the monopoly market share. The problem is there's no competition, right? Like I think it's egregious that Audible is $15 a month. I don't think that
Why do you,
that's an equal value because Netflix is the same cost, right? For $15 a month, you can watch 10,000 hours of Netflix, or for
or you
15
can
bucks a
get
month,
one
you can
book.
get one book, which can be like 200 hours if you're going to get Les Mis that one time, but otherwise, you're talking about 20 hours. Right. I don't think that's an even trade off. I know the argument is, well, you actually own the Audible book. No, you don't because you're licensing it.
You're leasing it.
Um, yeah. So that's where we're at.
Interesting. That was a good conversation. Very interesting. I would love to hear anybody else's comments on this because it's too bad everything's go leasing. I don't like the fact that we're headed more and more towards a rent everything kind of society. I don't like that. I don't know what a good option is. I don't know why Audible and Amazon as a whole hasn't been sued for monopoly practices. Doesn't
They
really make
have.
sense to me. Oh, what they
There's no
have?
competitors. They come
I
back
didn't
and
know
say,
that.
we're not shutting down any marketing. They're not trying to shut down competition. They're not buying all their competitors. The problem with Audible and Amazon is there is no competitor.
They're just too dominant,
They're
and
just too
nobody,
dominant. They're already existent. Everybody already has it.
and they just go through them.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're shutting anything down, so there's nothing to sue.
Yeah.
Because yeah, go ahead, build your little audio book e-reader company. Go ahead, we don't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah. Nobody's
And in
going to use you.
fact, you're probably going to buy it through Amazon.
Probably.
Okay, yeah, that's too bad. Anyway, I would be interested in anybody's comments. It's been on my mind, and I don't think it's really good for a lot of people. And hopefully, there's a better option that I don't know. Anyway, that is going to be our first episode this week. We appreciate all you guys watching. Thank you for everything. We will be back soon with another episode. See you guys.
Bye.